cash is disappearing. Not by accident and not because of convenience, but by design. In Sweden, nearly all everyday transactions are now cashless. Most shops no longer accept physical money at all. In India, the government erased the vast majority of its paper currency overnight in 2016, forcing hundreds of millions of people to rush into digital systems or watch their savings turn into useless paper. In France, it is illegal to make a cash payment above 1,000 euros. In Italy, the rule is similar. Greece, Spain, and Belgium all enforce strict limits on how much cash citizens are allowed to use. In the United States, try walking into a bank with $10,000 in cash and see what happens. You will be reported to authorities, flagged for investigation, and treated with suspicion for using perfectly legal money. The war on cash is not approaching. It is already here. And if you believe this is about stopping criminals or making payments smoother, you are missing the deeper truth. Once cash disappears, once every transaction is digital, recorded, and monitored, economic freedom ends. Life becomes permission-based, and permission can always be withdrawn. To understand why this matters, you have to understand what cash really is. Cash is the only form of money that truly belongs to you. When you hold a $20 bill, no intermediary stands between you and its use. You do not need approval, a device, or a connection. You do not have to explain who you are or what you are buying. It is private, immediate, and final. It cannot be frozen, reversed, or tracked. That is precisely why authorities dislike it. Cash represents autonomy. And every controlling system in history has understood one simple rule. If you want to control people, you must control their money. And you cannot fully control what you cannot see. So the first step is always the same. Remove cash. Force everyone into a visible system where every purchase is logged and every financial choice can be monitored or punished. Sweden is often praised as the ideal example of a modern cashless society. But look closer. In many Swedish cities, you cannot pay for public transport with cash. People asking for spare change now carry card readers because coins no longer exist. Churches pass electronic devices instead of donation plates. An entire generation has grown up without ever touching physical money, and many cannot understand why anyone would want it. What they also fail to see is how dependent they have become on systems they do not control. If a bank locks your account, you cannot buy food. If the power fails, commerce stops. If the payment network goes down, the economy freezes. In 2020, Sweden experienced a widespread technical failure that shut down card payments nationwide. Grocery stores, fuel stations, and pharmacies were immobilized. People with money could not access it. This was not a disaster scenario. It was a routine malfunction, and it exposed the weakness of eliminating the fallback option. Because that is what cash is, a backup, a way to function when technology fails. Sweden traded resilience for convenience, and now it has no safety net. India offers an even harsher lesson. In November 2016, the Prime Minister announced that the largest banknotes, which represented almost all cash in circulation, would immediately lose legal status. Citizens were given a short window to exchange their money through banks. Officially, the goal was to fight corruption and counterfeit currency. In reality, it was about control. Overnight, millions of people who lived in a cash-based economy found themselves stranded. Farmers, street vendors, and day workers saw their livelihoods vanish. Lines at banks stretched endlessly. People died waiting. Elderly and sick individuals standing for hours in extreme conditions to reclaim their own savings. Small businesses collapsed. Harvests failed because workers could not be paid. The economy convulsed. The government called it reform. But efficiency was never the aim. The real objective was to push citizens into digital systems where every transaction could be observed. India wanted to shrink the informal economy, the unrecorded exchanges beyond state oversight. Eliminating cash was the fastest way to do it. Did corruption disappear? No. Wealthy individuals found loopholes through intermediaries and shell structures, but ordinary people paid the price. And the state gained what it wanted: more visibility, more data, more leverage. France takes a quieter approach, but the outcome is similar. Cash payments above 1,000 euros are forbidden. Large purchases must go through banks, leaving a permanent trail. Step by step, cash is being boxed out, not with force, but with regulation. This is how freedom erodes in the modern age. Not through dramatic bans, but through limits, thresholds, and compliance rules. Cash is not being phased out because it is obsolete. It is being removed because it allows people to act without permission. And a system that seeks total oversight cannot tolerate that. If you want to buy a used car, pay rent, or purchase jewelry, anything above that threshold must go through a bank. The explanation is always the same: fighting money laundering and stopping tax evasion. But look at what this truly accomplishes. It forces a permanent record for every serious financial decision you make. Authorities can see when you buy, what you buy, and who you buy it from. And if they decide they disapprove, they can stop it. Once a payment is digital, it can be blocked. An account can be frozen, a transfer can be reversed, and you are left with no alternative because cash, the backup option, is illegal for that transaction. That is the real purpose of these limits. This strategy is not new. The campaign against cash has been attempted before, and every time the motivation was control. In the Soviet Union, the use of cash was tightly restricted. Large purchases required official permission. The state wanted visibility over everything and power over everyone. Yet even with those rules, an enormous black market emerged because people needed a way to live outside the system. The Soviet economy functioned on two layers: the official economy that was monitored and regulated, and the underground economy where real goods and services moved through cash, barter, and personal favors. The authorities despised it but could never eliminate it. As long as physical money and tangible goods existed, people found workarounds. The lesson is clear. Removing cash does not remove the informal economy. It simply turns ordinary survival into a crime. After the Soviet collapse, Russia in the 1990s became a barter society almost overnight. The ruble lost credibility. Inflation erased savings. People stopped trusting money and returned to the oldest system there is: exchange. Factories paid workers and products instead of wages. A worker might receive machine parts. A teacher might receive food. People traded what they had for what they needed. It was messy and inefficient, but it functioned because it did not rely on a stable currency. This is what happens when faith in money breaks down. People move toward tangible value. Governments fear this because barter is invisible. It cannot be easily taxed, tracked, or regulated. That is why modern states are so determined to eliminate cash. Cash is the last step before barter, and barter represents independence. Now look at the present. Central bank digital currencies are being researched or tested by nearly every major economy. China is rolling out a digital yuan. Europe is preparing a digital euro. The United States Central Bank is studying a digital dollar. The messaging is identical: efficiency, security, modernization. But what is rarely emphasized is that these currencies are programmable. Unlike physical money, digital currency can be coded with conditions. It can expire, forcing spending within a set time. It can be restricted to approved categories of goods. It can be limited by location. It can be frozen instantly if an algorithm flags you. And every transaction is stored permanently in a central database. These are not theories. They are features openly discussed by central banks. China is already applying this system. The digital yuan records purchases and connects directly to behavioral scoring. If that score drops too low, money stops working for certain activities. Travel becomes impossible. Education options disappear. Funds still exist, but permission to use them is revoked. That is the direction digital currency leads. Negative interest rates complete the structure. In a world with cash, negative rates fail. People simply withdraw their money and keep it privately. In a cashless system, that escape vanishes. If physical money is restricted or removed, savings must remain in banks. When institutions charge you to hold your own funds, there is no exit. You either spend as directed or watch value drain away. This has already occurred in parts of Europe and will expand. Governments burdened by debt need spending, not saving. Negative rates achieve that goal only when cash is gone. The final risk is the bail-in. In 2013, Cyprus faced a banking crisis. Instead of rescuing banks with public funds, deposits were seized directly. Accounts above a certain level were reduced overnight. People lost access to money they believed was safe. No warning, no choice. That is the endpoint of a system without cash. When all money is digital and centralized, it is no longer truly yours. It exists only as long as the system allows it. They simply erased it from your account to recapitalize the banks. It was legal because banks are private entities and depositors are treated as creditors. And the most disturbing part is that this is now official policy. The group of the 20 largest economies has agreed that bail-ins are the preferred response to future banking crises, not taxpayer-funded bailouts. Bail-ins mean taking your money. In a cashless society, there is no escape. You cannot withdraw savings and store them safely because there is nowhere to withdraw them to. Your money exists only inside the system, and the system can take it whenever it decides it must. Look at the pattern. Remove cash. Push everyone into digital banking. Introduce programmable currency. Normalize negative interest. Legalize bail-ins. Each step removes choice. Each step expands control. Each step is justified with calm language like efficiency, security, modernization, but the outcome is a world where you own nothing, not even your own money, and every action is visible, recorded, and manageable. This is not a hidden plot. It is stated policy. Central banks publish papers. Officials give speeches. They are not hiding it. They are relying on indifference. So what happens when cash becomes fully illegal? When every transaction requires approval from a bank, a processor, or the state, private exchange disappears. Every donation is logged, every subscription is stored, every purchase is analyzed. That information is used to build a profile of you, what you believe, what you value, what you might do next. And when the moment arrives, when an institution decides you crossed a line, they do not arrest you, they do not charge you, they turn off your money, accounts freeze, cards fail. You cannot buy food, you cannot pay rent. You are economically erased. Because it is digital, it happens instantly. No warning, no appeal, just gone. In a world with cash, you would still have options. You could use physical money, you could trade, you could survive long enough to resist. In a cashless world, you are dependent on the same system that removed you. That is the future being built. Not out of hatred, but because control is profitable. A population that needs permission for every transaction never revolts. History shows what happens when governments fully control money. The Soviet Union attempted it, and a black market exploded. Zimbabwe printed until money failed, and people abandoned it. Venezuela saw its currency collapse, and citizens turned to foreign cash, gold, even digital game credits. Every attempt at total monetary dominance either fails or creates parallel systems. Yet, governments persist. They believe this time is different. That technology will succeed where force failed. And perhaps they are right, because digital control is more complete than anything before. There is no paper to hide, no metal to bury, only code. And code can be altered, limited, or revoked at will. So what should you take from this? First, use cash while it still exists, not for crime, but to keep the system alive. Each card swipe over cash is a vote for its disappearance. Second, understand this is not about convenience. It is about power. Every argument against cash is an argument against independence. Third, prepare for a future where digital money dominates. Diversify. Hold assets with value outside banking networks. Most importantly, recognize what is being taken. Once cash is gone, it will not return. And the freedoms it carried, privacy, autonomy, the ability to trade without approval, will vanish with it. The campaign against cash is a campaign against you. And it advances one transaction at a time. History does not repeat, but its warnings are clear. Every society that surrendered economic freedom eventually surrendered all others. And it always began the same way, by controlling money. If this changed how you see things, subscribe. History already wrote the answers.